the guys came back in very good shape with a very good attitude. They've got a lot of want to, but we're trying to make things hard on them, make them really hard on them, and make sure that through the course of the process that they develop mental toughness and physical toughness, all in getting extreme knowledge of the game. And so there's a lot on them right now in that regard, and we make progress in certain areas, and then other areas we've got to keep improving, and then the next day it'll flip back the other direction. Where we focus, we seem to get improvement, and if you let something slide, you got to readjust it. So, but all in all, we've got a good start, but we've got a long way to go. A long way to go.
Yeah, we talked to Trey about kind of keeping things pretty similar to the defense and not having to learn a bunch. How much has that helped now them pick back up this fall or kind of hit the ground?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, learning a complete and total new playbook in any system, whether it's in the NFL or whether it's in high school or whether it's in college, is a challenge. Of course, the playbook that they were in, the playbook that we have, is from the same family tree, and so there's a lot of similarities, and that helps in some areas.
How has TJ Neal done in adjusting and adapting to that playbook over the summer and now thus far? And what have you seen from him these first?
Yeah, and you hit it. It's different now because used to they reported on reporting date, and if they'd never been in a system before, the first time they saw anything that related to what they were being asked to do was 3 days ago. Well, that's entirely different now. They've been here all summer. They've worked out on their own, and plus we've been able to, with the NCAA giving us a time allotment to meet with them. It's small, but it still helps. And then we've got some good teachers in the room that play the position that understand what's going on. So he's picked it up, but I mean, it's still new to him, and you can see it at times, and then other times you see things flash.
Kevin, where do you think Rudy Ford fits in best with you, with your defense?
On the field. Well, I mean, he's a safety nickel star, and I mean that's what he can do, and do well. He's got speed to do a lot of things, but he does that well.
Does he ever pick one of those spots? I mean, would you stick him at one and let him stay?
Well, in regular, you can put him at safety because the soundbacker goes in for the nickel, and then in nickel and sub, then he goes to nickel and you put another safety in.
Kevin, Josh Holsey has a lot of those same kind of attributes. He can play multiple positions in the secondary. What kind of led you guys to stick him out at least at the start of camp at corner?
Just because of the multiplicity of who we've got back there, trying to get moving parts, so that it's hard to play with 5 guys all the time, the same 5. And so when you got guys of his maturity, he's he's got a high football IQ, and so he can play multiple positions. So he can play really safety too, but he can certainly play star and corner.
Do you feel like you're really now just getting a feel for what he can do, just because he was limited in the spring?
Correct. I mean, until I saw him 3 days ago, it was all on video, and that's a little different.
In the spring, you indicated that Josh might fit better in safety because of the knee injuries.
Hadn't noticed it one bit.
2 days ago, Carl Austin was in here. We were asking him 5 different ways about Devon Robinson just to kind of get something out of him, and he gave the exact same answer 5 times in a row. Not the first time he's been kind of short with the media, but is that just, I mean, what's his mindset been, these first few days of fall camp, and how does he kind of stay focused and kind of avoid all
On questions that he answers repetitive, or on football? I don't know where you're going with that. I mean, on questions.
We were asking about Devon Robinson. He just kept saying Devon was dismissed, Devon was dismissed. He wouldn't get into anything. And what I'm asking is,
Well, what has that got to do with the question?
I'm just saying, how does he stay focused and kind of avoid those distractions? And what kind of mindset has he had on the field?
Well, I mean, the thing that we ask our guys to do defensively every play is, don't be a distraction. All right, be a positive influence and affect others around you in a positive way. Focus on your job, do your job that play the next play, and just that's a big focus for us, of being very focused on our job, not somebody else's job, our job, and to do that job with a mental and physical toughness and relentlessly pursue it. And we've hammered that home pretty good. A guy that's as mature as Carl picks up on it pretty quick.
Has it helped you and the guys on the defensive line that Rodney think Garner is a pretty consistent mainstay, especially on the coaching staff, and what he's asking his guys to do is pretty similar, you know, in the past and now, going into now.
Well, I mean, there's some nuances that are different, obviously, and then there's some that are several that are very, very similar. Coach Gardner's a very, very good football coach. He makes his guys accountable, responsible, physically, mentally tough, and they play with relentless effort. Now, obviously, that's a work in progress, but he's got some old guys in that room to lead it, so that helps the process.
Kevin, can you talk about your new guys that weren't here in the spring, and just overview of them and what you guys have been doing with the young guys so far?
You'd be better off to ask me specifically at this point in time, exactly who you're talking about.
Well, just the guys that weren't here for spring.
Okay, and then I'll forget one, and then I forget one, then I'll get
just
a.
in general. What have you guys been doing?
Yeah, in general, I mean, you know, they're fitting in good and they're learning well. I mean, they're excited about what they're trying to bring to the table, but they're a lost ball in high weeds. I mean, there's a lot on their plate.
Mentally, how are those linebackers doing and picking things up and being at the forefront now that?
Well, they're quarterbacking the defense, and obviously quarterbacking anything is, can bring a lot of opinions from a lot of places. But so there's a lot of pressure is what I'm saying. And they've handled it very well, particularly D and Sean and Trey. Darrell Williams is really progressing. So, I mean, they're grasping things in terms of, they're not busting mentally. They're not doing that.
Kevin, when you, basically a new staff guy you hadn't worked with before, how much progress did you guys make just in comfort with each other during the offseason?
Well, in football, I mean, you get kind of used to that. I mean, coaches come and go. And so the adjustment of that, particularly if you know somebody from the past or they've been in the same type system, it's pretty easy transition. As far as the staff personality, I mean, it's been a really good fit in terms of all of us fitting together, being on the same page, just in terms of, we work well together. That's a start. We're on the same page. And so that's big, but the rest of it is there has been a lot of adjustment because Travis has been in a very familiar system. Rodney has been in twice a very familiar system. And then there is carryover. And then Wesley and I have been in the same system. So it works pretty good.
Coach Malzahn has said numerous times about you that you and he think alike. Can you just talk about how that worked out?
Well, I don't know what he said. I didn't hear that, so I'm gonna trust that he said that.
He did, I promise.
If he did say that, I think it comes from the fact that in terms of how we go about football, in terms of what's important, in terms of in practice defensively, what he thinks is important to develop players, how he wants them developed. I think that's it. But then also, there's a as an assistant coach, the bottom line is at the end of the day, you got to please the head coach, and so that's just something that we're going to do. So maybe that's what he's talking about.
Was Marshall Taylor practicing?
That's a question for the head coach.
How long has he been away from the program?
That's a question for the head coach.
Is your understanding that he was not going to return?
That's a question for the head coach.
Kevin, the cornerback opposite Carl Davis, how's that competition going? Who's sort of in the mix?
Good, because we got a little rotation going there. We got a little rotation going there in terms of moving Dean and JD, and then Hosley in that picture. Then with that, we got Carlton, and so we've kind of moved them around. There've been different guys out there at different times with the first group, playing right and left, and then we got some field and boundary stuff where we've interchanged.
I want to ask about safety too. You got three experienced guys: Ruffin, Trey Matthews,
Yeah.
Stephen Roberts. How's that competition?
Well, Stevens really had a good summer and spent a lot of time. Really, I mean, even last night. Most of the time when you let guys out of meeting in fall camp, they're gone. And I mean, he's sitting up there watching tape. He's taking it very seriously. He's progressing nice. Of course, Trey is Ruffin was in the spring, so we kind of knew that. But Trey was one of those guys that really we had tape on. That's all we had. And so he's got the right attitude. He sees things, so.
What's your impression of Marlon Davidson, and do you feel like he could help you right away?
Well, I will say this, I mean, we got a long way to go, and he's young, but Derek Brown and Marlon Davidson, to have two guys like that in the same class is rare. That's just a fact. Now, I could tell you otherwise, and I could sugarcoat it or try to mask it like, well, they're not this, we got a long way. The truth is, those guys are pretty talented, and the big thing about them, they're both very emotionally mature. And that's the biggest separating factor with freshmen. There's physical specimen. There's guys that are really physical specimen. There's guys that pick it up quick, but just the wear and tear of the daily drive gets to them emotionally. It doesn't faze those guys.
Having guys like that in a class, how much does that help when you've already got a bunch of competition on that defensive line? Seeing two young guys come in.
Well, that remains to be seen. It really does. It gives you some different options, though. It does.
On Derek Brown, is he working toward earning a spot in playing rotation?
Oh, that's too early for that. It's too early. No, there's pretty good players in front of him.
Right.
But he certainly has the characteristics physically, mentally, and emotionally that if he keeps progressing, it would not be surprising at all.
When you finally get out there in full pads and start hitting, just what do you want to see from the guys?
Well, the biggest thing, I mean, it totally starts with we want to be the best effort team possibly that we can be, and relentless effort. And then we want to be physically and mentally very, very tough. And probably the biggest challenge that we got right now is developing the mental toughness. They want to, but we've got to get them to where doesn't anything faze them. Just play the next play. Don't worry about the score, just play the next play. And play it with a physically dominating mental toughness. Have a bad play, play the next play. And developing that has been something our focus since we've been here. We're not there yet, we got a long way to go, but we are making some progress.
From your experience, is it the most crucial time, these first 2 weeks of camp?
There's no doubt, because there's one factor that is out there that is relentless, that doesn't give up.
Coach,
Heat.
Have you seen Brian Cowart making progress this spring, and how's that competition strong side in?
Well, we got Jeffrey there too, who's got good physical skills, and Rasheen has good pass rush skills. But Carl he looks really good physically.
That's Byron Cowart. I'm sorry.
Oh, Byron. You talking about with Marlon and Byron
Strong
over there?
side in.
Yeah, the strong side in. Yeah, those guys have a good competition going on, and Marlon, I mean, you've heard me say before, the expectations for him, that's unfair. It's unfair because every guy's different, but he's handled it very well, and he's come back really prepared to play and worked hard and developed, and even today showed some really good physical toughness.
How does Warren need to view as a coach when we talked, I guess, the other day, and he mentioned that John Davies is probably going to be out for the season. So by the time he gets healthy, not only will he have been out for this season, but he redshirted last year. So he's going to basically be 2 years behind.
Yeah.
In a way.
Well, been doing it 36 years like I have. I've seen guys be 3 years behind and make All-American. So you coach the ones that the trainer gives you, and so that's all you can do. If you stand around and look at spilt milk, you'll be in trouble.
Kevin, Paul James is listed on the roster at linebacker, but is he in Travis's room more, or is he with Rodney?
No, he's with Rodney.
Okay.
Yeah, he's with Rodney.